Welcome back. Our first school of the day, South Florida, will be hearing from head coach Jose Fernandez in his 24th season for the Bulls. He's the all-time wins leader in the conference. They were picked preseason #1 after winning the regular season title, eventually, though, losing to 8-seed Wichita State in the first round of the AAC tournament, and ended up still getting the at-large bid, though, here into the NCAA tournament for the conference. Now joined by Coach Fernandez. Coach, great to have you here. Appreciate it. Last year at this time, you lose 4 starters on this team. A lot of question marks coming into the year. You said your team felt a lot of pressure. How is this year maybe a little bit different?
Yeah, I thought, last year replacing the group that we had to replace and still over 60 nights doing what we did, I was very proud of last year's group. Now you got to replace 2 WNBA draft picks. So I like our mixture of returners and our incoming freshmen and the young ladies that we brought in the transfer portal. So again, for us, we've been pretty successful in this conference, and I think from a recruiting standpoint and the type of summer development-wise, it's just plug and play. That's what we do.
Jose, you seem to have this system of internationally being able to recruit, but also getting everybody to buy into your system of play. And I think in today's world, when you deal with NILs, when you deal with players who maybe have a strong head coming into a college world, you've been able, and we've discussed this a lot, been able to really get players to buy into the program and your system. What do you think it is that you can define in your program that has allowed you to have that success?
Well, it starts with the recruiting, right? Finding the right people that are going to buy in, and because not everyone can play at South Florida. Not everyone I think can play for me either. So, but I think from a recruiting standpoint, us having the amount of kids that we've had drafted from a how would you say, football 5 conference, and then last year we had 18, 19 former players playing overseas. So I think the city of Tampa, the University of South Florida, academically is not a very hard sell, right? We're so close to Europe, and from an international standpoint, and being able to play basketball at the highest level, we play one of the strongest non-conference schedules in the country every year in November, December. So that takes the whole league thing out of the picture. But it's worked for us, and we needed to find a different avenue going from the Big East to the American Conference. And what is it, 11 years in, we're doing pretty good. Yeah,
and let's make sure we don't step over this. He just said 2 WNBA players from last year's roster. This has become a regularity in your program. You're not just a winning program, you are a builder, and you send players off into that professional world. So talk to us about Sammy Puisis. What potential does she have for your team this year, and are there pro prospects for her waiting?
Without a doubt, I think Sammy really worked on putting the ball down on the deck and getting to the rim and finishing moves in her mid-range game. So it was very complimentary to have her and Elle and Dulce. You had 3 guys that average over 15 points, but now I think her versatility with the amount of work that she put in over the summer will show. Now it gives some of the guys that who's going to be that other wing, right? Maria Alvarez has been in our program for a long time. She's had some injuries. Romy Levy coming in from Auburn, 2 very talented freshmen in Victoria Blasai and Judith Valero and Jeanette Arnio, who it was tough to play to get minutes behind Saniki and Puisis, who were both all-conference players.
One player you haven't mentioned, Coach, Carla Burrito. Last year, she starts 34 games for you as a true freshman. What stood out about her growth, maturity, and development here this offseason?
Yeah, her birthday was yesterday.
So. Happy birthday.
Right. Carla had a wonderful summer. She played basketball at the highest level. Silver medal, losing to the U.S. in the World Championship in Madrid, and then playing in U20s in Lithuania. Continuing to develop Carla, where hopefully junior and senior year we can move her out to that wing. But right now, we play 4 perimeters, and her and Danny Gonzalez. Danny played for the Colombian senior national team, and both those guys were 2 freshmen who played a lot of minutes, and we asked them to play a lot of minutes at that 4 spot.
You mentioned Maria Alvarez. Has been, will always be one of my favorite players. Watching this young lady since she was a 7th grader on a big stage, how many ACL tears has she gone through now?
Twice.
Twice.
Yeah, 2.
So this is her 3rd time coming back to it. What have you seen in her growth, maturity, maybe not even from a playing standpoint, but just human and potential coaching standpoint?
Well, I've known her since she was in 6th grade, right? 6 high school championships from the city of Miami, and she's gone through so much adversity, right? But she had a wonderful offseason. This was their best offseason that she's had as a college student. And you know what? She's a shot maker. She wants the ball in her hands. You know, some guys shy away from that, but she enjoys the bright lights and the tough moments.
Our Mike O'Donnell caught up with Maria Alvarez yesterday. Let's take a look.
All right, I'm over here with Maria Alvarez of South Florida, a legend. Now, you got to understand something about South Florida basketball, which I think you and I know, but what we want to talk about is 8 NCAA tournament appearances in the last 11 seasons. Like, when you think of South Florida basketball, what do you think about?
We're just a really hardworking team. I mean, we're quite literally a big, giant family. We have huge goals that we set for ourselves, and we take pride in that.
So when you say huge goals, what is the goal for this season?
We have banners on our practice facility that literally has a blank banner. So that right there sets the boundaries for how hard we're going to work, because we determine how hard we're going to work to put something on that banner. So.
A blank, I love that so much, just a blank whiteboard and you guys build it up. That's awesome. So, but I do have to ask you, you play for a legend, Jose Fernandez. Yep. Do you have a favorite Jose Fernandez story at all that you can tell to the fans? Maybe you got to keep, I know there's plenty you got to keep internal, but for the fans, is there any moment that sticks out for you?
There's some moments, I don't know if I can tell on camera, but I mean, there's just some general moments where, he just becomes such a huge figure to us. He's like our second dad pretty much. So it's just like having him there as a role model pretty much for all of us. Just seeing him happy and seeing him like reach his goals that he wants us to reach too. Like those are the moments that will always like hold in my memory. So.
That's awesome. That's a sign of a really great culture. Absolutely. When you talk bring out second dad, that's big time. South Florida basketball, they're big time too.
Coach, you hear Maria Alvarez calling you a second dad. She loves seeing you happy. Now let's turn the tables. What's your favorite Maria Alvarez moment?
Well, there's some that probably I couldn't share on air, but no, you know what? One thing that Maria's done an unbelievable job of, and is the servant leadership piece, right? Because when young kids come from all the way 2,000, 3,000 miles away, I think you like to see how the older kids treat the young kids, right? And you look at really good programs, where senior, freshmen always get beat up on and hey, carry the bag. That's not who we are. And when you see the older guys like Maria take the freshmen around and take care of them on whatever they need, put them under the wing, that's she's grown up a lot in a short amount of time, and she's going to have a great senior year to finish off her career.
Coach, thanks so much. Really looking forward to seeing what you all can do this season. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you, Brooke.
Thanks, Coach.
Coming up, we will be hearing from the South Florida men. Amir Abdur-Rahim here in his first season as the head coach for the Bulls. Picked preseason number 9, coming over from Kennesaw State. Last season, they finished 14-18 overall, 7-11 in the conference, finishing 8th. Eventually end up losing to East Carolina in the first round of the American tournament. It's a brand new year, brand new identity for the Bulls. John, what do you look forward to in seeing, with this new era? How is he going to put his stamp on this program?
Well, now that he's sitting right next to us, I got to change everything I was going to say. No, fearlessness, really.
Welcome.
I mean, it's that time where you can come in and be fearless. You can be aggressive. You can be assertive. You're building in every possible way. And a big piece of that, we talk about culture and identity. So many of the things that make up culture and identity are so far beneath the surface. And those are the things that you can focus on right now. The irony is, and Coach, tell me if I'm wrong, the more you get focused on those things, the easier it is to have superficial success.
Absolutely. And, for us, the thing that we tried to focus on more than anything is making sure we do have an identity, but it doesn't have to be something like out of the box. It's like, people think about Tampa and they think about palm trees, they think about the beach. And, so our mantra in our program right now is edge. Everyone dedicating great effort. And so we want to have an edge in everything we do, between the lines, in the classroom, in our community, to where it reflects our community, it reflects our campus. So our identity, it'll be pretty simple. Yep, it'll be pretty simple.
I like simple is usually what works, but when you're building a culture, you're building an identity. That's one thing. I think we talk about that.
Right.
We don't really know what that means until it's all said and done.
Right.
To you, what's most important from a style of play standpoint that should also be a reflection of your identity?
Well, what I'll say is this: it's all about habits, right?
Yes.
Even in our style of play, but it's our habits off the court that matter. You know, are we on time for study hall? Are we on time for class? You know, our appointments on campus. Because if our habits off the court match our habits on the court, now we can really build that identity, that culture, that environment that we want to have every day. And so and that goes right back into our style of play, because we want to have great spacing. We want the offense to be free flowing, and we want to share the ball at a high level. So if we got good habits of being unselfish, we'll be right where we need to be.
I love the word edge. I think it gives, in basketball, so much power.
Yes.
How do you create competition in practices, especially in an age where there's so many AAU games and it's easy to just be like, whatever?
Well, I'll say this. The thing I love about not only South Florida and our team right now, it's the same thing I love about the American. You look at our conference, competition breeds excellence. And so the way that we create the competition in our practice, we still do a lot of one-on-one, you know, especially from a defensive standpoint. We still do the shooting contest, you know, to see, you know, who can make that shot when the money's on the line, you know. So our guys know every day that they come into practice, our job is to make to make practice hard so the games can be easy. And that's hard to say with such a great conference like the American and the Penny Hardaway and the Memphis Tigers, Dusty May and the FAU Owls. Like, we have really good coaches and really good teams. So our competition has to be at a high level every day.
Coach, you were able to keep 3 players from South Florida, but you also brought 3 from Kennesaw State. With those guys, Brandon Stroud, Chris Youngblood, and Kaysen Jennings, how have they been an example and an extension of you and what you're trying to bring to South Florida?
No, Chris, Kaysen, and Brandon have been great. Kaysen I've known since he was a baby, literally. His dad and my brother were best friends growing up. And so they were with me 3 years at Kennesaw. They didn't go through the 1-win season, but they went through the 5-win season. And they watched and were a part of building that culture you talk about, that identity that you talk about. And so they've been a bridge between, you know, to help kind of bridge the gap between myself and the 10 other guys that we brought in. And they've been able to help those guys just get to know me a little bit quicker, what I want, what the standard is. And so they've been great. But I'll say this, and I think it's a testament to Brian Gregory, who had the job here before me. You look at Corey Walker, Selton Miguel, and Sam Hines, the 3 guys that we retained, and these kids are bought in, you know, and they've been coached. And, you know, that's the best part of being a coach at South Florida, is that the floor, the foundation was there, you know, and so we're able to come in and really focus on basketball, focus on the things that matter.
So when you think about like transfers and coaches moving from place to place, we don't put enough emphasis on those guys that stay with you.
Right.
And yeah, it's messaging, it's communication, but in a way, it's almost like when we were playing, your head coach was the authority, your assistants were the guys that you leaned on when you were frustrated. Right. But you've got those in players. So how do you even begin to quantify how important those guys are to the team getting to know you?
They're invaluable. You can't put a price tag or anything on those 3 guys, because any program that's going to sustain over the test of time, it has to be a player-driven program.
Yeah.
It can't. If it's always me or the assistant coaches being the one saying, oh, we got to do this, this, and this, what's going to end up happening is like we're going to become the crazy coaches that are always yelling. But when it's peer-driven, when it's player-driven, now it's heard from a different ear. It's seen from a different lens. And again, when you think about this, not just the 3 guys from Kennesaw, take Kobe Knox.
Yeah.
He's played in an NCAA tournament. You know, so we have 4 guys that have played in the NCAA tournament. Kaysen Pryor, well, 5 really, because he played in one at Boise State and then played for a junior college national championship last year. We have guys that have the DNA of winning in their blood. Now it's just about spreading it around the rest of the team, making it be player-driven, going back to that competition. Competition breeds excellence.
Player-driven, but that also helps you keep players, right? In today's day and age, you know, if the coach is the authority, you're likely re-recruiting everybody every single year, yet
Absolutely.
the players bring each other back. And I think FAU is probably a great example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's no surprise. And it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to become somewhat of a rivalry, I guess, at some point. But Dusty May and I have known Dusty for almost 20 years. When I was a GA at Murray State, he was an assistant coach at Murray State. And was one of my best friends in the business. And so when you look at how they've been able to do it, it's the same thing. Again, if I'm having to be the authority figure, you know, how much are these guys really growing as men?
Yeah.
And that's what I got into the business for. I got into the business to impact and give back and help develop men. And so, again, having Chris Youngblood, having Kason Jennings and Brandon Stroud, they'll tell the guys, look, man, coach, like, this is what's going to kind of set them off. But for the most part, he's going to let us be exactly who we are. You know, my job is to put them in the best possible position to be the best version of themselves.
Coach, is there an arena that you or your players have talked about you're excited to go in and play and just face that crowd no matter how loud they are?
No, we're excited to play in Yuengling Center. That's
All right.
We're excited to defend our home court. We're excited to bring that edge that we talked about into Yuengling and pack that thing out, because the thing that I've enjoyed the most so far is talking to the former players, the fans, and back when Yuengling was the Sun Dome, they talk about how when it was packed out, how hard it was to play. So we're excited to pack that thing out and bring that edge to Yuengling Center.
Coach, one of the things that I've heard you say is our goal is to become the most connected team in the country. What sorts of things do you do to create a chemistry where you have 10 new guys coming in trying to create that camaraderie?
Well, first thing is we're intentional about our relationships. It's not just one of those things where we're spending time between the lines. You know, we go bowling as a team. We obviously eat a lot as a team. But we talk to them about spending time with each other, you know, off the court. We actually have a rule in the playbook, or in our rule book, and I remember when we first introduced it, they kind of looked at me like, man, what are you talking about? But when you go to the gym, you're not allowed to go to the gym by yourself without having first called one of your other teammates to say, hey, I'm going to the gym, do you want to come? Because we also talked about wanting to share the ball. Well, a lot of times guys don't share the ball because they're going in the gym by themselves and shooting by themselves. But when you see your teammate and they're working with you, like you drive and that help comes, you're a little bit more willing to kick that ball. So just trying to be intentional about our relationships every day. And that's how we build that connection. It's not, you know, some magical thing that happens. You got to be intentional about it.
So coach and family therapist, that's what you are.
Yeah, I guess that's fair to say.
Who's the best bowler on the team, Coach?
Me.
Okay.
And
Confidently said
yes,
that.
Yeah.
And if Chris Youngblood or Brandon Stroud or any of them tell you differently, they're not telling you the truth. Okay, I've been
We heard
whooping
it
them for
here
4
first.
years
It's
now.
on record.
It's on record. I back it up. I think I got receipts somewhere in my phone.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time today. Really looking forward to seeing here what you do in year one with this team, and
Thank you.
best of luck moving forward here.
Thank you.
Thank
Go
you.
Bulls.